Alright, I am doing Tenkatoitsu. This is Sengoku Jidai. This is Unification Battles for Japan. It's a Hexasim game. There we go. 2016. Designed, I should do that, by Francois Vandermeulen. 3 battles are included in the game. Yamazaki in 1582. Nagakute, 1584, and of course the most famous Sekigahara, 1600. This is a battle system. There was a game prior to this, I don't have it, that featured 1 battle. This was the follow-up game that has 3 battles. And just to look, I mean, it's a beautiful, I think, just beautiful box art here. And in general, I mean, the components are just outstanding. The map, let me go back a little bit. The map just looks gorgeous for this battle. There's obviously a separate map for each battle. I'll get in here on the counters. You can see these just lovely counters with the clan emblems, them on them. Just really outstanding work here. The player aids, this everything's just really well done. This is a special aid for this particular battle. This is a fortress. This fortress, which there's going to be actually a separate or an assault on this fortress while there's a battle going on, which should be interesting. And in fact, all 3 of these battles in this game have interesting twists. None of them are straight up fights. Yamazaki has this kind of fortress assault as well as a field battle going on. Nagakute has an ambush, basically. Sekigahara has its own player aid, which includes all these clans and if they're going to betray one side or fight for one side or the other, and has all kinds of rules for that. So this is a very interesting game, and I'll go over here too to check some more of the components. These are the player aid cards for each side, which have the clans on them and what kind of orders those clans have and that you've assigned to them. Yeah, this is an order system game, and again, you see just the beautiful artwork on them, great quality on this game. But yeah, this is an order system game reminiscent of Musket and Pike in how the order system works, assigning orders to clans, trying to change orders, going from movement to attack to defense to regroup, and that sort of thing. So that'll be familiar to Musket and Pike fans. This is also a chit pull game, so for those fans of chit pull mechanics, it has that chit pull mechanic in it, where you buy basically your clans, you spend command points to throw your clan activation chips in a cup, and you also have 5 orders every turn in that cup as well that kind of everybody uses. And I'll explain that. And actually I'm going to explain quite a bit of the rules for this one, because outside of those 2 mechanics, this game is really different. It has different concepts of movement and combat. It's not particularly familiar to a typical war game like a Great Battles of History or a Musket and Pike. There's a lot of different concepts in it of how it works. So I'm going to do actually some more rules explanations, or do some rules explanations. I usually don't really do much in terms of rules explanations. I'm going to do it overall for the system, and then I'll go into the battles, and I'll do probably an intro on each battle as I play through them. I'm going to play them in order. I'm going to start with Yamazaki, and I'll kind of explain the special rules for that battle, and then go through some of the gameplay. So I'm going to do some, start doing my rules. I don't know if I'm going to do them all on this one, but we'll start with the sequence of play, and the game term links for me. Okay, so you're going to have a command sequence, which includes a delay phase, a command point determination phase, battle plan activation phase, each side before the game is going to choose a battle plan. One of these 10 battle plans. Very interesting idea here. And each of these battle plans has different order or different tactics, in essence, that you can assign to the clans. And I'll talk a little bit more when I get to that section of the rules, but you can see you can have some special abilities for if you're doing a Seku, hold the ground, lock. You've got some tactics, and then you have a special ability. Saying Choku, independent formation support each other, and you have a special ability in some fast movement. So there's 10 of these plans, and each side's going to choose one secretly before the start of the game. And how those plans are implemented, I'll talk about as I go through the rules. So we have a command phase delay, battle plan activation. We're going to prepare the bowl or the cup. They call it the bowl. These rules are translated from French, and unlike my last game, which was Fallen Eagles, I just finished up, also by Hexasim and translated French. These are a little rougher translation than was Fallen Eagles, but they're still okay. I mean, they're not bad. They just have a lot more awkward phrasing, English phrasing, than did Fallen Eagles, which was really actually a pretty excellent translation. So we're going to have an activation sequence. There's going to be these chits here, these march phase, combat phase, rally phase, initiative phase, and there's 2 combat chits, one for each side. These are not phases. These are actually the chits that are going to be put in the cup each turn, at the beginning of each turn. And when all 5 of these are drawn, the turn's over. So you're going to have these chits plus whatever clan chits you spent command points to put in the cup. But those clan chits may not all get pulled before the turn ends. So we're going to have, so we have the units. And here's an example. I could pull one of these counters out, but this is a good example of a counter and how kind of different it is from most tactical games that we look at. You have the clan identification. That's pretty, a standard identification. You have a firepower. The number of dots indicate the firepower. Firepower is both archery and firearms, musketeers. You have a leadership rating. Each bar here indicates leadership. In this case, there's 2 leadership for Tokugawa's counter here. There's Elan, which is the kind of quality of the unit. And also it hints later in the rules that if there's cavalry in the unit and how much cav is in that unit. And then mass, which is the size of the unit, the number of troops there. But also later in the game, it indicates that all these indicate number of troops. So, firepower indicates the number of troops as well. So that's a little confusing. Here it seems to indicate this is the number of troops in the unit, but later in the game it seems to indicate that that's actually the combination of all of these, the firepower, elan, and mass equal the number of troops. It doesn't matter as far as gameplay. Just as far one of the things I'll obviously talk about later is that there's not really designer notes or much notation in this game as far as the designer's intent. And again, that's unlike Fallen Eagles that I just played, which had pretty extensive designer's notes. And something I wish there was more of in this game because it's a very interesting rule set here for the game. Okay, so we have zones of control. That'll be pretty familiar to most people. We have unit states. And they show it over here, so the counter is in good order. You'll put a marker on it when it takes a step loss. You'll flip it when it takes another. Put another counter on it when it takes another hit, and then finally destroy it. And that's kind of the states of the units. And you can rally units. So there are no absolute, those step losses are not absolute casualties. You can take, a number of step losses and rally them back if you're able to. We have the orders. And these orders are attack, defense, movement, and regroup. Those are the 4 types of orders a clan can be in. So somewhat reminiscent of musket and pike, although they are a little bit different. But the orders do definitely have similarities. For example, if you're in movement order, you can't move next into an enemy zone of control. You can only do that if you're in attack orders. And so, you know, there's some similarities there. Movement and stacking. Well, stacking's easy. There's only ever one counter or one unit in a hex. There is no stacking. You can't move through units, and so that's relatively simple. Now, movement is interesting. That there is no movement allowance on the counters. You move based on the order you're in, and the order you're in will give you your movement points. And there is no necessarily terrain key here, or I mean there is, but the terrain key is just kind of on the map, and it's really, I think, cleverly done. You have these open areas, and those are that's not open, but these are open, and that's one movement point to move through. You have these closed hex sides, that's two movement to move through. You have a river line here with the dotted connection, that's two movement points. You have blue lines here, those are impassable. And then you have some road effects. The road's a half movement point per hex. You also have these arrows on the map, and these arrows will facilitate, if you move where the arrow's pointing, it'll be one movement point. If you move against the arrow, it's two movement points. In addition, they provide a defensive benefit if you're attacking against the arrow. Okay, these areas are specific to the scenario or to this battle of Yamazaki, and I'll kind of look at that when I get to the battle specific rules. Okay, so the movement here, there's a nice movement chart here that explains it, and it's very simple to kind of understand and look at and see, at least for me, and you know, it doesn't require a lot of explanation, which is nice. Okay, I think at this point I will stop this video. I'll come back and I'll do another rules video overview, and then start on Yamazaki. Okay.